Oh yeah, it's Buff Diver Day Part Dos, and that means a metric crap ton of changes hitting the game this morning. That's right, they are live right now, and don't worry, I've got you covered from helmet to boots on what has just happened, as well as some thoughts on it all because I just came from testing some of it, and there are some sweet changes here. Welcome to the channel. This is Lieutenant Buzz Lightbeer, and once again, Arrowhead have touched all the far corners of the game. There's armor changes, weapons, strats, you name it, even guard dogs, and yes, jump packs, which I know a lot of you have been screaming for. I mean, there's a lot here, so sit back as I break it all down for you. And once again, thanks for tuning in. In case you're new here, take a moment to hit subscribe. It's free, and it really helps the channel get noticed to the far corners of YouTube. And while you're at it, make sure to ring that notifications bell so you never miss one of my future upload alerts. And here we go, divers. Buff Diver Update Part 2. Let's check out all the latest with Helldivers. Now, normally I would kick this thing off with a Superstore roundup, but nothing new there, and a major order check-in as well. By the way, we still need to take and hold good crux, but today it's all about the new changes, and like last update, there's simply line after line of them. So yeah, let's get it started. I'm going to skip around the Arrowhead patch notes summary and get right into the first category, that being balancing, and specifically general balance changes. Now first up, additional supply items will now be visible on your minimap. That's right, you're going to be able to see exosuits and support stratagems now on your minimap, although I don't see anything listed here about resupply drops, which frankly is a big bummer because those are what we divers really want to find on our minimaps. I mean, come on, Arrowhead, let's make that happen. If you can show exosuits and support strats, we need resupplies on the minimap. They've also removed ricochets from orbital strat projectiles like the Eagle Bombs and Spear, so apparently no more skipping off targets and causing mayhem, especially with your teammates who are in the direct path of those ricochets. And finally, really important change here to armor, so listen to this. Heavy armor now reduces incoming damage by another 5%. So before it was at 20%, now it's 25%, making it more resilient. Also, light armor has picked up another 8% resiliency. By the way, there's nothing here for medium armor, but there you go. Both light and heavy armor both pick up a little more tank to them. Also, some cleanups here mentioned for descriptions in the game for both strats and weapons. So this is how they are worded and explained to the player, including Armor Pen 2 equaling Light Armor Pen, AP 3 equals Medium, AP 4 equals Heavy, and AP 5 Plus is now classified as Anti-Tank. So yeah, overall some good changes here, especially to light and heavy armor and items showing up on the minimap, along with removal of those strat ricochets. Onto the category I know you all want to hear about. What did they do to those primary weapons? So let's first hear a friendly PSA from Arrowhead concerning plasma projectile behavior. This is what they say. This is kind of humorous, by the way. We've standardized the behavior of plasma projectiles, which previously had varying characteristics in how they traveled through the air. Now, all plasma projectiles experience high drag, causing them to slow down faster. However, each plasma weapon still fires projectiles at different speeds and calibers, so their effective ranges will remain distinct. For most weapons, this change won't be very noticeable. Okay, so it sounds like a lot of verbiage to explain very little, but I guess we'll see. First up is the Punisher Plasma, which has a less pronounced arc to its projectile path. Effective range is about the same. It's just a matter of the plasma traveling faster at first, and then drag will slow it down. So visually, it's going to look a little different, but really no other changes listed out here for the Punisher Plasma. Next up is the PLAS 101 Purifier, a weapon I have honestly never used since I unlocked it in the War Bond. It was just that bad, but who knows? Maybe I will after all these changes. Let's find out. So first off, it says it's going to have a charge-up damage mechanic. Minimum charges of 0.1 seconds yield 50% damage multiplier. A max charge of 1 second gives a 100% damage multiplier. Okay, so it's sounding good so far. So you can rapid fire it somewhat and also get it to the max charge bomb time permitting. Also, the max charge damage has been doubled, okay, from 100 to 200. Max charge durable damage, we talked about that before and how important it is, has also been doubled from 50 to 100, even better. Max charge explosion damage doubled from 150 to 300. So very clearly, the past life Purifier was throwing nothing but cotton balls, if anything. I mean, it's all being doubled. And finally, they say the explosion doesn't scale, but fully charged shots have different explosion effects. Charge up from 0.1 up to 0.99 seconds. The inner radius is 1 meter. Outer radius is 2 meters, and explosion damage is 75. Max charge the Purifier. Those are those 1 second wind-up shots. Inner radius expands up to 2.9 meters. Outer radius is 3 meters, and explosion damage is 300. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to be putting the Purifier on my list of items to try out. I mean, clearly it was very weak, and at least on paper, it seems to be getting big buffs. But like I said, testing is needed. Let's next move over to the PLAS 1 Scorcher, which, by the way, I did test out just before working on this video, and this thing is pretty nasty right now. Auto fire mode has been added to the Scorcher, so no more click, click, click unless you really want to. RPM has also been increased from 250 to 350, which I noticed that one immediately. Mag capacity has also been increased from 15 to 20, but the spare mags have been decreased from 6 to 5, but if you do the math, even though we have less mags, we now have more ammo. So yeah, overall, really solid changes to the Scorcher, and the RPM and full auto mode are both instantly noticeable. This thing's an animal right now. Let's next move over to the Punisher Plasma, and I actually really liked this weapon versus the bots before, and I'm going to like it even more now because it has even more reduced recoil and an RPM increase from 80 up to 100. So it was a bot bomb, need I say more, but now we get to shoot it even faster. That's a win-win in my book. ARs are next up, and I'm just going to be upfront and honest with you. It's not looking good for the ARs right now, but let's start off with the Liberator changes, and it now has reduced recoil by 30%. That's it. And I mean, I've messed around with the Lib in the past, and recoil really wasn't the category I felt it needed tweaks to. Damage is what it needs, and damage is what it did not get. The Liberator pen also sees reduced recoil, increased mag capacity from 30 up to 45, while spare mags are reduced from 10 to 7. And the Liberator carbine sees reduced horizontal recoil by 30% because it was a bit unruly to control, so that's a positive change. Ergonomics increased by 5 from 65 to 70, and reload duration has been cut down from 3 to 2.5 seconds. The Adjudicator sees the same 30% reduction to recoil, but listen to this. It's had its damage increase from 80 to 90, which is great. Durable damage has also been increased from 16 to 23, double great, and the mag capacity was also increased from 25 up to 30. All changes I would have loved to have seen on the Liberator and all of its variants, and all changes we did not see on the Liberator and all of its variants. And finally, let's talk about the Tenderizer, which, by the way, is my favorite AR to use when I am using an AR. It now has a variable RPM mode. You can switch it between 600 and 850. Also, the JAR 5 Dominator has now been moved in the armory from explosive weapons down to the bottom of the list under special weapons. So let's pause for a moment and kind of break it all down. And overall, not what I was personally hoping for when it came to the bulk of the AR changes. The Liberator, the Lib Pen, the Lib Carbine, they all feel underwhelming when it comes to sheer damage output. I mean, you end up spending too much ammo to drop even lighter targets, and here was the opportunity to kind of beef them up a bit and get them up to par. I mean, these things fire big rounds, and they should be inflicting big damage, right? And here we see nothing. Arrowhead needs to release a blog or maybe some sort of studio statement trying to explain what their thinking is when it comes to ARs, because as it sits right now, outside of the 10D and maybe the Adjudicator after these buffs, I don't see players using these over some of the better primaries in the game. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section below. How are you feeling about the assault rifles in general and the direction Arrowhead seems to be taking with them? Moving on, and there's also 3 sidearm changes listed out here, beginning with the Verdict, picking up 1 tier of armor pen, up from 2 to 3. Durable damage, listen to this, is nearly tripled from 13 up to 32, and the stagger force strength has also picked up 2. up from 13 to 15. Not trying to beat a dead horse here, but this would have been nice to see on those ARs. I'm just saying. Anyways, the Senator is much the same here. Armor pin up from 3 to 4. That's big. Damage increased by 25, up from 175 to 200. And the durable damage doubled from 35 to 70. Hell yeah, the Senator sounds like it's punchy right now. And finally, the wildly inconsistent stem pistol decreased spread from 30 down to 5. And the muzzle velocity has also been more than doubled from 80 to 200. So quick translation here. It should be easier to aim and connect with your targets, which are your fellow Helldivers, and the stem darts should arrive there much faster. Now, just stop killing your squad mates who are trying to heal you because you mistake them as trying to PvP, and we're going to be golden when it comes down to the stem pistol. I'm so glad I actually went back and listened to every minute of this commentary because I completely skipped over this next category of throwables, and there's some massive changes here, starting off with the throwing knives. Uses increase from 8 to 20. That's right, divers, you get 20 throwing knives. Oh, hell yeah. The G12 Hive Explosive Grenade has doubled its damage from 400 to 800. The Frag Grenade damage increase doubled from 250 to 500, and the Incendiary Grenade damage increase from 150 to 300. So more than doubling of throwing knives and doubling of damage on 3 grenade types. I love chucking things all over the map. I love seeing the explosions. This, I think, is more in line with the thermite changes they made to the part 1 of the Buff Diver update, but hell yeah, more power at our disposal, more options, more utility. I love to see it. Bring on the changes. But how about those weapons of mass destruction? Stratagem support weapons. And yeah, we did get some sweeping changes here as well, adding destruction and versatility to this category. And let's start it off with the Autocannon and Recoilless rifle, both now getting programmable ammo. What does that mean? Well, with the Autocannon, we're going to get a flak projectile mode that is a proximity triggered featuring some sort of shrapnel laced explosion, and the Recoilless gets a high explosive round, basically less impact damage, larger explosion radius type of thing, and you can toggle between the standard and enhanced ammo using the reload buttons. Now, I tried the Autocannon before recording this one, and the shrapnel is good for multi-point swarms, especially of the lighter enemies, but you'll still want the standard ammo for those bigger, hardened targets. But overall, more versatility from our strat weapons all in one package is, again, a win-win. Further changes listed out here include the Airburst launcher losing 2 seconds on the reload times. That's clutch. The Stalwart, the big change is there, is it's picking up 15 more points in ergonomics, meaning it's going to handle even better, which I don't think was a problem before, so this thing should be a freaking laser gun. Easy to aim and easy to kill targets with. Now, also the standard machine gun picks up 25 more ammo and 1 more starting spare mag, and the HMG picks up 25 more ammo as well, pushing it from 75 to 100. So overall, faster reloads, better handling, and more ammo kind of spread out across the category here. These are all good buffs for divers, and I like to see it. How about the backpacks, Buzz? You teased those in the intro, and what about my jetpack? Well, check it out, divers. Here it is. The jump pack's going to lose 5 seconds overall on the cooldown, from 20 down to 15. But it also, listen to this, gets stronger thrust force, that's what she said, and the thrust vector has also been tweaked, resulting in a slightly higher jump and more forward momentum. Now, I have to be perfectly honest with you. I've used the jump pack maybe a handful of times, but with the changes, I'm going to need to invest more time into this thing because with faster cooldowns and more movement, this thing might just be a great game changer. Sticking with the backpacks, and the standard guard dog, the one that uses the Liberator, is now moving up from armor pin 2 to 3, but the damage has been decreased from 70 down to 60, while the mag capacity is jumping from 30 to 45. So again, I'm going to need to test this thing out, but even with these changes, it doesn't honestly sound like something I would use every day. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. It's going to take a lot to get me to switch away from my laser guard dog. Also, you can now toggle the drones to and from the backpack. This is clutch. So if you're going like super stealth mode and you don't want your rover going ham on a patrol, you can recall it back to your backpack and not give away your position. Again, this is clutch. And another change I know a lot of players have been asking for, and I can't wait to give this one a go. We're about 2/3 of the way through, so just sit tight, because next we're over to Stratagems, and there's also a lot of changes with today's update, starting off with the Eagle Strafing Run, picking up Explosion Radius. By the way, no percentage is given here, it just says slightly picking up Explosion Radius, and the explosion damage has been buffed from 250 to 350. Orbital Airburst picks up another salvo, that's from 3 now up to 4, and the duration between salvos is also an additional second delay between those deliveries. The Machine Gun Sentry, mag capacity picks up 50 ammo, the cooldown is reduced by 30 seconds, and the lifetime, that's how long this thing will stay active before disappearing back into the drop pod, has also lost 30 seconds. And by the way, you're going to hear this a lot as I read through these Strat Sentry changes. Faster cooldowns and less lifetime. Gatling Sentry, my personal favorite of these things, picks up 100 ammo. Love it. It also loses 30 seconds of cooldown and 30 seconds of lifetime. The Rocket Sentry, same thing here, loses 30 seconds on both cooldown and lifetime, and it matches over into the Autocannon Sentry. Loses 30 seconds of cooldown and loses 30 seconds of lifetime. Now over to the MD-17 anti-tank mines, which are now only triggered by heavy enemies like Chargers, Bile Titans, Impalers, and Hulks. Thank you. So a little scavenger can't just wander out into the minefield and set them all off. Also, they've increased the damage by over double, from 800 up to 2,000 on these things, and the explosion radius was also simultaneously decreased. Now, Arrowhead also mentioned here that they are still kind of not happy with how the mines are in game and are going to continue to work on them. The Tesla Tower is next up. Oh boy, zap zap. Reduced charge up on shots from 3 seconds down to 1 second. So this thing will be zapping a lot more. Cooldown reduced from 150 down to 120. That's in seconds. Lifetime also loses 30 seconds. And finally, the Shield Gen Relay, which hardly anyone uses. They removed the charge delay between taking damage, and they increased the charge rate from 300 to 400 health a second. Radius, listen to this, has also been nearly doubled. Okay, from 8 up to 15 meters. So we're talking a big old shield bubble now. And once the shield is down, it will no longer regen. Probably the most noticeable changes when you first spawn in after today's update is how quickly the sentries despawn and how much faster you're going to get them back off of cooldown. Both of these changes, again, are just instantly noticeable. And I might experiment with the shield bubble, I don't know, but this game is all about staying mobile. And again, I honestly don't know how this is going to work with my run and gun playstyle, but you know, that's worth a shot. Also, some massive changes here with patrols and enemy types, but let's start off first with patrols. And Arrowhead have now concentrated these around the extraction site, with more patrols appearing the closer you are to extraction. Now, previously, once you completed all the objectives, patrols were just increased map-wide, but now you can still kind of explore and roam around and clear without the added hassle until you get close to extraction, where again, those patrols will be beefed up. So it sounds like extraction will still be extraction, but exploring post objectives will be a little bit easier. By the way, let me know if you heard and read that the same way as I did. Drop me a comment down below. Let's talk bugs, not game bugs, actual bugs in game. And both the Spewer variants have had their leg health reduced by 100, which should make them a little bit easier overall to kill, especially if you're unfortunate and you hit a leg instead of their body. Hunters now have a short shared area cooldown for their pounce ability. I think this translates to less hunters all kind of pouncing and stunning at once. And finally, both hunters and scavengers can blow up if hit with enough damage, which sounds interesting. And I wonder if that explosion then releases acid or something on us, kind of like when you kill a spore charger or bile spewer. And now over to the bots, and we know they have had some issues, some of them actually quite major, and most of which seem to be addressed here with the changes. Now to start off with, here's what Arrowhead has to say about the bots in general. Some enemies were able to shoot at you without needing proper line of sight, which caused them to fire into or through walls, track you, even when hidden, seen that many times, and ignore smoke effects. We've addressed these issues, so now you should be able to use stealth more effectively against the automatons, and they won't be able to shoot through walls or see you when they shouldn't. Please let us know if you still encounter issues like these. So according to their statement, they've handled many of the major issues with the bots. What were those? Being able to shoot through cover, being able to track us and pre-fire as we came out from behind cover, also being able to track us through smoke. I don't see anything listed here about the double weapon spawn issues with the bots. Hopefully they've addressed that and it was just somehow omitted from the patch notes. But we've also got a lot of sweeping changes here to the bots for specifics and percentages, starting off with the bot projectile strength. That's the stuff they can hurl at us. Starting off with the normal stuff they shoot at us. Well, it's down from 40 to 35, but also on the heavy projectiles they can throw our way, like those from the Scout Striders. Those are also down from 65 to 60. So overall, we're seeing a general weakening of the overall bot damage output. Also, look at this change. Apparently, John Helldiver himself has sabotaged the Hulk Bruisers, and they no longer have access to the command bunker laser cannons. Instead, they're being reverted back to their standard rocket launchers. I've got to say, GG's Arrowhead, this is a really solid change here. I don't think anyone really approved of that happening because those things were not balanced, like, at all. All Devastators have also had their head armor reduced from 2 down to 1. That's big, but they also pick up 10 head health points. Berserker's head health decreased from 125 down to 110, and the heavy devs will now pause slightly between their salvos, giving us some ability to pop up from behind cover and counterattack them. Once again, testing needed here, but with bots, accuracy has always kind of been the key, and now if you're accurate with those headshots, you should be able to drop them even faster. But Buzz, how about those damn and pesky automaton tanks? Well, listen to this. All of them, that's right, all of them have had their front armor reduced from 6 down to 5. And they've also reverted their previous changes made to the tanks. So listen to this. Their rear weak points now have a separate health pool equal to that of the total health pool of the tank. Once it is depleted, the entire tank is destroyed. They also say hitting the weak points does 150% damage to the total health pool. It's actually more in certain cases. But it's great to see. Yeah, I mean, these things can be a nuisance, especially when I'm personally all out of thermite. And the weak point changes alone sound great, so we can actually use weapons to down these tanks. So first off, the Annihilator tank turret's weak points do 200% to the overall health pool of the tank. The Shredder tank matches that of the Annie tank, hitting weak points does 200% damage. And the Barrager tank, probably the most disliked tank variant, will be destroyed if you destroy the turret. So hopefully this will get more dedicated bug divers over into Botsville. No shooting through cover, or at least they said they fixed it. Bots tracking us behind cover and through smoke. Again, they say fixed. More headshot opportunities versus the bots. More distinct ways to kill tanks. The Hulk Bruisers losing the command bunker laser gun. I mean, these are all really solid changes. And again, if you're strictly a bug diver, is this enough to kind of entice you over to the bots for a few dies? Leave me a comment. Let me know. There's also some miscellaneous fixes listed out here. I'm going to throw them up on screen now. And the one I didn't want to see, which I can confirm is here, is that they have fixed the bug where if you wore the heavy armor with the gas-resistant passive, it would make you 100% immune to the gas effects. Again, I really want to see heavy armor get some love, maybe hopefully sometime in the near future, especially because you have to give up every other passive, and these are strong passives, just so you can have some sort of specific elemental resistance. You also have to give up stamina regen and speed, but who knows? Fingers crossed, maybe one day. And finally, last item here, the known issues. Again, I'm going to show these on screen so you can check them out. Pretty much all of these are repeat offenders, but take a look under medium priority at the new one listed out there. It says players are unable to shoot properly while in the air using a jetpack, which from my few times using the jetpack, wasn't that kind of the norm? I don't know. Let me know. Okay, anyways, overall, not as many changes as last patch, which I kind of expected, and I'm talking sheer volume of changes listed out here, but those changes to the automatons could be clutch for getting them into a more enjoyable and balanced state to play against, especially when the bugs are kind of the best they've ever been in terms of balance. I do like the versatility and buffs to the support weapons. I like the lower cooldowns and turrets because I like turrets. And there's some requested changes in there as well, like those to the jetpack. Really, the only area that seemed like a letdown, and this was kind of a major letdown, and again, this is just me talking, just my opinions here, were those to the ARs, or should I say, those that were not made to the ARs. There's still so many weapons I would choose over something like the Liberator, and a little reduction in recoil was not what I had on my bingo card, if you know what I mean. I honestly don't know what Arrowhead has cooked up for this weapon archetype, but they still are going to remain in my armory until further notice. As always, leave me some feedback and I'm going to do my best to respond. Remember to hit subscribe and to ring that notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. All my socials, including links to today's patch notes and the Studio Dev Diaries, can be found in the video description. Thank you again to the nearly 246,000 of you legends from across the planet who've already taken the plunge, you've already hit subscribe, and you tune in daily to support me and the channel. 250K is oh so close, and we would love to have you along as we push to that milestone. Until the next one, this is Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear, signing off.